Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I absolutely love Wednesdays because this is a special time where I really get to share the message of health that focuses on a specific topic that you may be facing. This could be pertaining to physical health, spiritual health, or even mental health. The goal is to share information that is going to help you to look, live, and feel better. Because who doesn't want that? Last night, I had the opportunity to meet with my fellow health coaches and participants in the Happy, Healthy, and Wonderful Get Fit 21 group. It was amazing because there were so many encouraging testimonies that came from the women as we closed out our first week together. Women shared their struggles, their wins, and some of those included losing weight, coming off of medication, reversing illnesses, balancing hormones, reducing body aches, as well as body pains. And as a health coach, this is one of the most rewarding experiences for me. I absolutely love to hear the women's personal stories of how their health is improving. And one woman shared that she was learning how to eliminate ultra-processed foods from her diet and embracing the lifestyle of eating clean, healthy food. And when we talk about ultra-processed foods, they actually make up 60% of the American diet. These foods are usually easier to access, they're more affordable, they last longer than our whole food. And so, to be honest, we live in a fast-paced world, and we sometimes often value today's inconveniences more than tomorrow's health. But with that continued prevalence of ultra-processed food, we are beginning to see the price that individuals are paying in their physical body because of this. And in this episode, I'm going to share what ultra-processed food is, how it's impacting your health, and what you can do to avoid it. Let's get into it. When it comes to women's health, there's an overwhelming amount of information out there, and honestly, it can be quite confusing. Diets, fads, trends, which one is right? What if I told you the answers to optimal health can be found in one of the most ancient medical books ever written, the Bible? If you're ready to take the guesswork out of living a healthier life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Rock Your World Naturally show. I'm Rekishia McMillan, honorably retired Air Force veteran, certified health coach, and award-winning author. After years of trying to recover my health the world's way, I was still sick, depressed, and had no energy. Finally, I surrendered to God, and He showed me in the Bible how to recover my health, and it rocked my world naturally. My calling is to help women who are struggling and burnout to have more energy and lose weight by using God's prescription for physical, mental, and spiritual health. If you're ready to experience extraordinary health, grab your favorite herbal tea or power smoothie, and let's get ready to rock your world naturally. A few weeks ago, I did a series entitled the Freedom Series, and the fifth part was entitled Freedom from the World's Food System, podcast episode 134. And it provided insight into what you're eating and how it impacts the overall health of women. Because what we eat impacts our immune system, our hormone levels, and it can create a lot of disorder within the health of many women. And some of those disorders include autoimmune disorders, chronic fatigue, obesity, as well as low energy. And so when we talk about the world's food system, it is riddled with ultra-processed food, which is so contrary to God's food system, which is comprised of whole food, according to Genesis 9:3, which reads, "Every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things, plants and meat for food." That's the basic definition. And when we talk about ultra processed foods, these are foods that actually undergo multiple industrial processes that result in a product that looks nothing like whole food that was in its original state. And these foods usually contain manufactured ingredients that have been extracted from the foods. And then they're processed and they resemble a tasty treat or tasty food that is often high in added sugars, saturated fat, salt, artificial flavors, colors, preservatives, and it's oftentimes very low in essential nutrients that we need for our overall health. And so when we look at this, it is really a manufactured or a man-made food product when we talk about ultra-processed foods. Some examples of these include sugary cereal, packaged snacks, frozen pizza, soda, prepackaged meals. We have fast food as well as deli meat. And so what are some of the health risks that are associated with ultra-processed food? As I shared earlier, that when we're talking about ultra-processed food, it goes through multiple layers of processing. And so that means that foods are often stripped of their natural nutrients. They're replaced with artificial additives. And this leads to a diet that is lacking essential vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants. And instead, there's an overabundance of salt, saturated fat, as well as added sugars. A diet that is high in ultra-processed food is extremely hard on women's bodies and can actually lead to a risk of chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, as well as cardiovascular conditions. And for women, the number one killer is heart disease. So if we're eating or consuming these ultra-processed foods, it could certainly contribute to the health issues that we see going on today. And so it's just not our physical health that suffers when we're consuming ultra-processed foods, but there are so many studies that have shown that there is a potential link between a diet that is high in ultra-processed foods and poor mental health as well. Whereas a diet that's rich in whole foods has been associated with overall better health and better mental well-being. So how can you tell if a food is ultra-processed and which ones do you need to avoid? So it would be nice if our food choices were conveniently labeled for us so we would know right away if it is good for us or not. But this is usually not the case, although many foods have misleading packaging copy to make us think that we're making a good choice. Just because a label says organic doesn't necessarily mean that it is the best choice. So the best way to determine a product's nutritional value is to simply flip to the back, study the nutritional label, and looking at some of the ingredients that you want to avoid. So these are some of the main ones. If you see anything with hydrogenated oils, preservatives such as sodium nitrate, if you see sweeteners like corn syrup or cane juice, if you see anything like artificial flavors, flavor enhancers like monosodium glutamate, MSG, these are things that are detrimental to your health. And so what are some tips that you can apply to your life to avoid ultra-processed foods? Because honestly, we know that they're all around us, but we want to be able to have some good, healthy alternatives. So if you're looking to reduce the amount of ultra-processed foods that you're consuming, here are some tips that you can keep in mind. Number one, always embrace the whole food plan, as Genesis 9:3 outlines. So whether that's fruits, whether that's vegetables, whether that's whole grains, make these your go-tos when you're preparing your meals, even if you're having snacks. because these foods are not only naturally nutrient dense, they are also going to promote you feeling full because you won't have that temptation to snack or overindulge as often because you feel satisfied, you feel satiated. Number 2 is that you want to be able to cook at home more. And one mistake people often make is switching one processed food for another without even realizing it. So preparing our meals at home gives us more control over the ingredients that we're using, and it also helps us to avoid hidden additives that are often found in processed food. The next thing that you can do is plan ahead. Yes, ultra-processed foods, they are very convenient. You can just go pick them up, pop them in the microwave or in your oven. But we can make healthy alternatives more convenient by planning ahead of time. Because if we don't plan, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Making time for meal prep in advance and keeping healthy snacks on hand so that when you're really crunched or pressed for time, you can grab and go and have those healthy options to support your health. The final and the fourth thing that you can do is study the food labels, as I mentioned earlier. When you're in the grocery store, in the supermarket, whenever you're buying prepackaged foods, just simply ignore the marketing copy on the front and go straight to the ingredient list on the back. And if the ingredient list is full of words that you're not familiar with, and the supplemental facts panel lacks nutrients like fiber, vitamins, nutrients, then put it back on the shelf. And so when we talk about ultra-processed food, yes, it is convenient. It may be tempting, but their long-term impact on your health cannot be ignored. Genesis 9:3 has always been our divine blueprint for what we should be consuming, because God knew from the very beginning in all of his wisdom what we need to sustain our health here on planet Earth in our physical bodies. So I'm just encouraging each and every one to make a commitment to return to the foundational plan of health as outlined in the scriptures, because when we're out, whether it's on a trip, obtaining food for our families, so when we're shopping, we want to make sure that we're planning those meals. Whether we're eating out, we want to use God's word as a measuring stick, as well as the tips that I've shared and provided. And so again, those tips, you want to make sure that you are embracing whole food. You want to make sure that you're cooking at home, planning ahead, and studying those food labels. So this week, I want to encourage you to make a commitment to return back to that foundational plan for health. Remember, again, to use God's word as your measuring stick, as well as the tips that I've shared with you. If you found this show to be beneficial, be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I would love to hear about it. If there's a health topic or health question that you would like to see discussed on the show, message me so that your question can be answered and featured. Until next week, be blessed with an abundance of health. God bless you. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I pray that it blessed and challenged you to move towards living the abundant life that God has for you. If so, would you stop right now to share this episode with someone who's been praying to improve their health spiritually, physically, or emotionally? I would love it if you could take 30 seconds to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. This is the only way that I know that you're liking the show. Also, it rocks my world to hear from you. Lastly, come on over to my free community, RekishiaMcMillanCommunity.com, to grab your free gifts. I have everything you need to know about working with me, taking my courses, or connecting. Also, head over to RekishiaMcMillan.com to explore my health products and sign up for free complimentary health coaching. My prayer for you will always be 3 John 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. I'll see you in a few days. God bless.